What's going on, y'all? And welcome to Anxious Wow, a podcast that explores the intersection of mental health and wellness, being a minority in America, living with pride, and the ghetto-ness of adulthood. Hi, I'm Emperor.
And I'm Tevin. And whether you're an active listener or this is your first time tuning in, thanks for joining us today.
That's right.
Today, we're a duo again, so we're going to have a little fun.
I love when it's just two of us sometimes. Yeah, I like it sometimes.
Just the two of us.
Are we singing now? We can make it if we try.
Just the two of us.
Do it right.
Just the two.
Oh, that's the wrong words? Great song, y'all. I just don't know the words. Normally, I always tell our guests we start them with an icebreaker, but since it's just the two of us today, we're going to do the icebreaker. So tell me, what's the icebreaker for today?
Could you be friends with someone if you can't stand their partner?
Ooh, that's a good question. Mm-hmm. Obviously, I didn't know the question, y'all, so I'm kind of stuck right now. It really, really, really depends. Like, are they married? Is the partner? Oh man.
Well, we'll make it less complicated. That's the person they're dating, and they've been dating probably for a few months.
A few months? Yeah, I could be friends with a few months, but you said their partner. Mm-hmm. I could be friends with someone who I can't stand their partner. It's going to be kind of hard to navigate, though. Let me see.
I mean, you don't have to be friends with their partner. You just don't come around unless it's like their birthday or something important, you just don't come around when their partner's around.
You can be cordial in situations. Like I am friends with someone and I don't really like their partner. I'm not going to say who the person is, but yeah. You said what?
I was trying to find out who it was.
I'm not going to say who the person is, but I will say this. I don't see them as much because when you have a partner, you guys kind of become like a duo. Mm-hmm. I mean, it just is what it is. And, like that person's happiness is important. I'm not going to tell you not to be with that person, but I still have to protect my peace at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. So if I can't stand somebody, that means it's like it's a morality thing. Like it has to be something with their morals where I can't stand someone. So I just distance myself from that. And sometimes the relationship may or might not fade, but I'm not going to give someone an ultimatum because absolutely not.
Okay, either you break up with them or you stay friends with me.
What type of high school?
You're going to lose that ultimatum.
No one can give me one at all, but I will protect my peace. Now, it also depends. Like if they were married and, that's what it was, then we would be distant friends. Mm-hmm. Very, very distant. Because I'm not being fake around people. I could be cordial with your birthday, but when we're in like certain settings, I just can't do it.
I mean, well, if y'all friends, y'all don't necessarily have to hang out all the time when the partners are around. So it's just like, what if it's just like a one-on-one thing?
Yeah, that's fine. Like I said, that's cool. But like, again, like, I don't know, maybe I'm using from my own experiences. I kind of distance myself from that person because I just don't want to be around that. But we can always hang out, just me and you, have a good time, catch up because I'm friends with you. Mm-hmm. I'm not friends with your partner or what you decide to do with your life. Mm-hmm. Our friendship was built off of obviously in some type of, commonality or, whatever it is. So we can be friends. You're just going to have to just tiptoe sometimes.
And speaking of that, what's making you anxious for the week?
People just not showing up for me when it's about me. When people have things happening in their lives and it's time for them to be celebrated or they need support, I'm normally there with the pom-poms and doing a whole, yay, let's go type of situation. And I noticed that, it's not reciprocated for me. I'm not upset, but I'm just very, very aware of what's going on. Like I'm hosting a party. It's my first one. I'm very excited about it. And there are a couple of people who have real legitimate reasons. Like, they already had a prior engagement and I get that. But those who are always sick when it's time to be about yourself, talking about, I've been fighting this off for 3 weeks. Well, you should go to a hospital if you've been sick for 3 weeks.
Even if you don't have insurance, they have social workers and you'll be able to leave and not have to pay for it.
I know the people who have jobs, so I know that they have some type of insurance. It's just, to stop playing in Emperor's face. Like, stop playing in my face. Like, stop playing in Emperor's face. It's annoying. But when I post on social media, you want to jump in, oh, hey, what's going on, E? Oh, you look great. Oh, But when it's time for me to do something that's about me pursuing my dreams and my passions and careers, there's always an excuse. So let's just, that, energy for me is reciprocated. And if you want to give that to me, I can give it back to you. I just won't answer my phone or I won't invite you anywhere ever again. But I know it's a little long-winded, but that's what it
I'm
was.
heavy on the not inviting people places again.
Yeah, because I
That's
don't.
how I protect my energy. Like you got 2 times. If I invite you somewhere you don't show up, you just stop getting invited.
And that's okay because you're gonna miss out on fabulosity. So what's making you anxious this week?
It was something that like I spoke about a while ago, like something similar to that, and it's just really kind of makes me sad.
Is it them not having oat milk anymore or any type of yogurt? Is it something in that capacity? Because you was upset,
I
or
was.
when you got beat up, like by time.
This one is like it hits close to home, closer.
Oh, closer to home?
Yeah,
Like where you grew up, closer?
I don't go that far,
Okay.
but no, they haven't had acai for
You
a
see, I
while at
was
Whole Foods,
something.
and I've just been
You've
really
been
upset.
stressed.
I have been stressed. Like got breakouts coming out. Like
The breakouts.
my acai bowl was good every morning. Then
Mm.
they had to ruin it. Then they just came back this week with like some little acai balls. But I like the little packets. But the balls are cute.
Here's my issue. Whole Foods. What is going on? First it was the Oatly, and again, Oatly reached out to us and said what it was. Okay, I get it. Then it was the
Still not
Snacklins. I'm like, what's going on with that? I haven't had my, low carb little snack in a while. And now it's the acai.
Mm-hmm.
And then, this time strawberries are missing. And then blueberries is missing. Every time we try something and we get into it and we talk about it, it goes missing.
Whole Foods might as well just become Walmart at this point.
Oh, they both start with a W.
That's true.
And they're not winning.
And they're both part of the biggest retailers in the world. So there's a link between it. Whole Foods get it together. Well, Amazon get it together.
We calling you out. All that money you got. Give him some acai.
So you ready to get into the topic for the day?
I thought we was already talking about the topic, but yeah, sure.
So get us started.
All right, y'all. So today we are talking about scarcity mindset versus an abundant mindset. So I'm gonna give y'all the definition. So because Miriam said she doesn't do scarcity, she knows what that is with her life. She did not have a definition for us. Listen, that's my girl. See you later tonight. You said what?
That's my move.
You know what? That's why y'all close.
Mm-hmm.
Cause y'all never have issues. Y'all never have issues. I never hear y'all going back and forth. Always me and her going back and forth. Love you, Miriam. But we have a definition of abundant mindset versus scarcity mindset. An abundant mindset is a belief that there are enough resources and opportunities available for everyone, fostering a sense of optimism, gratitude, and collaboration. It contrasts with a scarcity mindset, which is driven by fear of lack of competition.
Which one do you identify with?
Right now,
Mm-hmm.
in the words of Deborah, abundance.
Definitely hard on the abundance mindset.
That's her favorite word. That and what's the other thing she likes to say? Equity. That's her two favorite words. But no, abundance is where I live. But I'm not gonna sit there and say I never visited or lived in a scarcity mindset before, based off of how I was brought up and the environment I was brought up under. It was very a dog eat dog world where it made it seem like there was limitations or limits to what you could possibly achieve. So you had to be better than that next person next to you because there was only, for example, it was 80 of y'all, there's only 2 plates. So out of the 80, 2 y'all only can get those 2 plates, and that's how you had to get there. And that's what you always thought it was. But heck, there are people who still think that even when they get to the top, to be honest with you. But it really takes you broadening your horizon to kind of understand that that's not necessarily true. And there's a lot of reprogramming. I know today that us talking about this, some people might feel away because it's going to relate to them and they probably don't even know it's relating to them. Or they're going to sit there and say, well, my mama told me this.
Well, they're just in a denial mindset.
We should have added that in there.
We should have. But I do have a question.
Yeah.
You mentioned you like grew up in like a dog eats dog type of world. What kind of dog?
It wasn't a poodle.
Like a Doberman?
Some of us were poodles, actually. I'm gonna be honest with you. We're very intelligent. The hair was herring. People were jealous. So some of us were poodles. But they try to be, you said, Doberman and Great Danes and
Dalmatian.
Beautiful. Yeah, because some of them were really pretty, but they were really nasty. So that's what it was. And then they kind of figured out that that wasn't how they were supposed to be living, because at the end of the day, they didn't amount to anything, or they didn't get to where they thought they were supposed to be. Like, I could sit there and go to my old neighborhood. Again, shout out to the concourse. But there are people who still live there. And it didn't get any better from when I left and what I've seen. And they're still in that same mindset that, oh, I didn't make it because it's nothing out there for me, or it's not enough resources out there for me, or because I'm Black, I can't get out of the situation. I'm gonna be honest with you. Yes, it is extremely hard for us to move up compared to other races, but it's not impossible. Yes, you have to, I say this a lot on the podcast, probably put in more work than the average person, or really have to, because there's already a stigma against us that we're lazy. I don't know how to say we're lazy when we built this country. Look at slavery, right? But that we're lazy, we're not smart, and we're just known for physicality. That's what they think that we are. And people get stuck behind that. That's why they pursue jobs that show physicality. I love sports. Big basketball fan. Love baseball. Shout out to the Yankees who are in the World Series right now. About to go to the World Series. But like, people chase those type of things because that's what we're taught. But then you also hear this. People say they never go to a Black doctor. So it's kind of stops people from pursuing these dreams, because they're like, I would never go to one. And these are our own people saying this. So it does create that scarcity mindset, because you feel like there's not a lot of options out there for us. And again, I lived in it in a younger life, so I can understand why people have that type of outlook, but they have to understand that it's deeper than what grandma, grandpa, and mama told you.
It's true. Scarcity, well, not scarcity, but an abundant mindset is very important, like when it comes to like personal development, your mental health, and other things like that. And when you allow scarcity mindset to take over, it kind of hinders you from growing. Hence why you talk about like where you grew up, a lot of people have the scarcity mindset. They're still unfortunately stuck in what they grew up in. But I think if more people put in the effort to try to get over that scarce mindset and try to just think about abundant things and think about, I may not necessarily be in this position now, or these opportunities may not be afforded to me at this moment, but who's to say they won't ever come?
Right.
But when you're just sitting here like, oh, it's not for me, that's for so-and-so person, they don't give this to Black people, they don't give this to someone like me, that kind of forces you, or unfortunately you stay in that position and you can't see the opportunities that are put in front of you, or you miss out on a lot of your blessings because you're so stuck in that ball of negativity.
Yes. And sometimes, the opportunity that they're chasing is probably not for them.
Yeah.
A lot of times, like, for example, they'd be like, oh, and I like to use basketball because I grew up in a neighborhood where everyone wanted to be in the NBA, every single person. I can't get into the NBA, so it's over for me. I'm like, that's an amazing place to get. It's like winning the lottery, but you have to have super, super talent to get in there. And, maybe that just wasn't for you, or maybe you didn't put enough work in there, or maybe you didn't put enough effort, or maybe it's just not for you. So guess what? If you're really into sports, maybe it's a different sport that you're good at, or maybe there are other options that you can possibly obtain, right? Even down to like school, like I use that for example. Everyone isn't great at school. Everyone cannot get into Ivy League, although people buy their way into these places. There are some people it must be real nice. But there are people who actually worked extremely hard to get into these spaces. Just because you wasn't a straight A student doesn't mean that you can't land an amazing job. It doesn't mean that you won't be great. And I think a lot of times people get stuck on that, like, oh, I didn't get into this particular school, so it's over for me, because that was a resource, like going to Harvard or Yale or Stanford or Brown or, Columbia, NYU, Pace, all these great schools. You didn't get in, you go, okay, great, now I'm not going to amount to anything. But then you always hear these stories of people who have an abundant mindset, who some of them didn't even finish college or didn't get a chance to get in, but they use other resources to grow and be great. Like there are a lot of people who own companies and they didn't graduate from college. Not saying you shouldn't go to school, but they didn't sit there and stop that. Or they went to maybe a community college, which is nothing wrong with that, right? You're still getting an education. You go to school to learn. So they decided that I'm going to take advantage of this situation, think in a positive way and a positive light, and sit there and take the next step. And then they have these big companies. Then they hire the kids and the children, goodness gracious, the people from these Ivy League schools to work for them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all about your mindset and seeing the cup as half full. I remember a time, I remember what grade I was in, and a teacher asked me, "How do you see this cup?" And I answered, I said, "Half empty." And it was like, "You see things in a negative way." So it was something like that. And I got extremely offended. I was like, and I think I'm probably a teenager. I said, I'm very positive. I said, "Well, you talking about see things in a negative way." And I was offended for years. Like it was still in the back of my head. And then I had to really look deep down and dig as I got older. It was like, you are a positive person, but when things doesn't happen the way you expect them to, you get in this mindset of it's just over.
I think that kind of brings us to how your upbringing, or not your upbringing, it could be your upbringing, but also the environment that you grow up into, it can affect if you have a scarce or an abundant mindset.
Of course it does.
So like when you don't see anyone excelling outside of sports, or you see people who you saw from younger and now they're older and they're still in the same place, it's kind of just like that world that you're in is all that you know. And all you see is, I don't know, for example, poverty or pain or hurt or racism, just because it's like what you're in. So it's really, you have to really work, when you're in those environments, you have to really work hard to try to get out of there. And it's not always easy. It's easier said than done.
Yeah.
But many people have done it. So are you going to be the person that does it?
Right. I do believe that. At the same token, it is hard when you don't have a support system. And when your support system, and I put it in quotation marks, is people with scarcity mindsets saying that you have to do this because this is the only way, or it's very limited. And if you don't do it this way, it's never going to happen for you. So when you see yourself not being able to do it the way you were told, you get stuck and you go, "Oh, it's not worth it." But then you sit there, you got to always have your reflections and talk to God and meditate and pray and go, "Wait a second. If you're telling me this is the way to do it, how comes you ain't do it?" See, people don't want to ask that question. I know a lot of parents and adults, they do not like this. So why didn't you do it? "Oh, you should be a doctor. That's how you make an impact on the world." Okay, doctors save lives. They do. I believe that.
Suicide rates if they're not.
They do have a high suicide rate as well because the pressure from their parents and or just the world, or just things happen and someone dies, it can be a toll on you.
There's not enough doctors in the world, so if that's not your true passion and you're working being an extra 25 hours a day,
where the extra hour came from?
Listen, some people find that extra hour.
I mean, Mary J. Blige had a song called 25/8. She added a day and an hour, so shout out to her for doing that.
When you're working those 25 hours a day, and that's not your passion, it kind of takes a toll on you mentally. Then it's like, how can I find happiness when the thing that I'm responsible for takes up more hours and days than I have?
But do people teach people to be happy? They don't equate happiness with success. You never, I'm not saying you never hear it, but, excuse me, I rarely hear someone sitting there telling their kids, or anyone, I don't keep saying parents, but just adults or the older generation, go chase happiness. You don't really hear them saying that. You don't hear them saying that. It's go chase a title so you could be better than. Go do this. so I can brag about you. Go down this field, so the hood can go, oh, look, you made it. But all you did was leave one house for another, because now, yeah, you're getting more money. Great, you allotted yourself um, more opportunities, but the opportunity you did not give yourself was to be happy. So now you're
Like
in.
Beyonce said
What she said?
in Pretty Hurt, she just wants to be happy.
Mm-hmm. I ain't mad at her.
Mm-hmm.
And people might think she's happy. She might be happy now, but I'm pretty sure she had her times where, you know, she was doing things. She said it. She was people pleasing. She was doing things to make people happy, and killing herself. And yes, she's going to leave a legacy, if not already, on the world. But you have to still do things and make and be happy, because this is your life to live.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So I do understand that. And, back to what I said about the saving lives things, like there are other avenues you can do to save a life.
Mm-hmm.
You could be a firefighter, which is going to be my costume for Halloween. I'm excited about that. Or you could be, you could be a cop. You can be a mental health coach. You can be a great orator. You could be an impeccable parent.
You can just be a listening ear and save someone's life.
You could be a listening ear. Literally, you could sit there and go like to the YMCA or help out. There's a lot of things you can do.
Mm-hmm.
And again, a lot of things I mentioned doesn't guarantee you making $500,000 a year. But I think people equate getting money to everything, and I feel like a lot of that has to do with scarcity mindset. Like everyone knows that everyone can't be a millionaire.
Yeah.
It's virtually impossible.
Unfortunately, we need people
Yeah.
in certain places, because if you go to the grocery store, you need people who work there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're not at the robot phase yet. I hope we never get there, at least while I'm here.
Not when I'm around.
Not trying to have an iRobot situation.
Absolutely not. And I already heard about my therapist said she went to a place where she was getting drinks and it was like a robot.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, that's
They have them on cruise ships too. It's kind of cool. I kind of want to try it, but
now you hope we never get there. But you want to try?
I could try that one. See if they make the perfect margarita.
I told you the one I had that was good.
Where was that?
I told you I went to I went to Dallas,
mm-hmm.
and I went to some barbecue spot. The food was not good. Dallas, I want to go back. Please choose a spot for me that was some good barbecue. But sis hooked that margarita up. Like, I don't know if she put a spell in there. I know she added a little bit of narcotics. I don't know what was in it, but I'm trying to tell. And she gave me extra.
What, she put fentanyl in there?
Maybe. It was the highlight of my trip. Besides hanging out with my friend. But yeah, the drink was really, really good.
That's the closer to the border you get, the better the margaritas are. It should be anyway.
Because Mexico's right there.
Yeah.
We need to go to Mexico.
Mm-hmm. Maybe we can film an episode from Mexico.
That's having an abundant mindset. Look at us. We're trying to expand our horizons. Abundance. House of what?
So was there ever a moment where you realized you were in a scarce mindset and you had to turn it around?
It pretty much came down to the time where I was working at a particular job, and, for the life of me, I killed myself, worked hard, do everything I was told to do,
mm-hmm.
and I was unable to move the needle and get to the next level. And, you see people who don't look like you get there, and it's your first thing is always, I don't look like them, or I'm black, so that's what it is. Of course, it's hard for me to get there. Of course, it's scarce. Maybe I should stay here. But then I sat there and said, you know what? Maybe this isn't for you, and this is not what God wants you doing. Especially when you're praying for happiness and you're praying for things that make you happy to be what you do full time. I knew deep down inside that it didn't make me happy. I knew that I was chasing a title. I know that it'd be like, oh, Emperor, you're, the director of this, and, it looks good on paper. But I'm like, how many hours would I have to work? And I'm sitting there being a robot to a company that really doesn't appreciate me or values me or even really cares. And I had to sit there and go, you know what? It's not that serious. I used to go on LinkedIn and see people say, congratulations, they got promoted. And it used to make me cringe. Because I'm like, I used to work with that person. They're trash. I'm like, you know what? They're not trash. They're perfect for that trash company. This isn't for you.
That's the word. They're trash.
Yeah.
But they work for a trash company.
They work for a trash company. Great. I was literally a poodle working with pigeons and rats. So, being that, you got them trying to gnaw at your leg, you got them trying to fly and peck at you. You have to just keep your head tall and go, you know
At
what?
least
Let
there
me
were
go
no
hang around.
roaches.
Huh?
At least there were no roaches there.
I'd rather a roach than a rat.
That's true. I mean, there's that debate online where people are like, would you rather have a rat or a roach in your house? And everyone outside of New York was like, they would rather have a mouse or a rat. I'm like, that's nasty.
All right. So we're going to ask this question to y'all.
That's nasty.
Roaches or rats? Like, I really need to hear. And I'm not saying, I said a rat. The big thing that's as big as a cat, probably longer than your leg, versus a roach. I mean, I don't want any one of them, but I don't want a rat in my house. Can you imagine? You sleeping, you wake up, and you look at you and talking about high? No.
In your refrigerator, eating all your food.
Eating your food.
Eating your chips. Eating your good.
Inviting their cousins over.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh, yeah, they got the good snacks.
They set up shop. They squatted.
That's why Whole Foods don't have anything.
Especially that one in Union Square. I was in there one time. There was a mouse in there. They got to do better.
What?
Yeah.
I mean, it's right next to the train, though. Like, it's really on top of the train.
Yeah. And it was close to, like, the
That's the bakery.
The deli or something.
Ew, see? I told you I don't like that location.
I left. I went upstairs. I left.
Why you never told me about this?
I did tell you about that.
When?
You must have just been so distraught you forgot.
I must have been. I probably fell out.
Mm-hmm.
That I didn't remember it.
They gotta do better.
Rats are nasty.
Yeah. For me, I think a moment where I found myself in a scarce mindset was right after I graduated college. Probably took me about a little less than 6 months to find a job. But in those months, it's very hard, especially you're a young person trying to start your career,
Right.
Find your way in the world. And I probably had about, I think I probably was doing like an interview a week. Which I mean is good to have because some people don't even get that. But an interview a week, and you can I just felt myself just like getting hopeless. And I was just like, I went to 4 years to this very expensive college for me to have to maybe go back and just work in a job that I could have gotten if I had not gone to college. And I really wanted to do something in my field, and I didn't want to have to settle. And you have all these ideas while you're in college. I'm going to get out. I'm going to instantly make 6 figures. And I mean, if you work in finance or something, that can work out for you. But
Right.
I'm going to instantly make 6 figures. I'm going to live in this high-rise penthouse in the financial district.
That sounds actually nice.
And life is going to be perfect, and no one's going to be able to tell me nothing. I know there's other people who struggle, but that's not going to be me.
Right.
And then you find yourself in that position a little bit. I mean, I have to admit there are people who never find a job in their field post-college, but I have to acknowledge that I'm fortunate enough. But for me, during that time, that's where my mind was at. But I think I did notice it. I didn't give up, but I did feel helpless and felt like it wasn't going to work out. But overall, I just had to sit there and look at myself and be like, you can't fall into this and just really allow this to become your whole persona, become a negative, miserable person. You have to really just look at the bright side of things. I'm big on being optimistic. So that ended up working out. And eventually I did get the job, and then I've grown into my career. But that was a time where I could find myself falling into that mindset, and the power of prayer and faith, I was able to fight not doing that.
The power of prayer and faith, I really feel like it has a lot. And, we talk about that a lot on the podcast, just praying and keeping the faith. And for those who don't believe in God, believe in something, the universe, whatever, like this, you need something just to keep your mind going. Because there are times where, like you said, the world can create this picture and narrative that scarcity mindset is actually reality, where you have to do a certain thing or move a certain type of way. And, I won't say I hate to say this, but social media plays a huge role in spreading scarcity mindsets where you sit
For
there and
sure.
see particular people with particular jobs and particular looks and particular genders and particular skin tones and hair grades live these lives.
Everyone who doesn't look like you.
Everyone, right? Like
Yeah.
even down to like, and you know what? I'm gonna call people out. Look at some of these hair care brands, right? You see a lot of women and men, and just with 4C or thick, coarse type of hair. You don't really see them on social media, talking about, oh, look at this hair product that works for them, or they don't use them. They use the girl or the guy with the loose texture and the long hair to promote these things.
Mm-hmm.
And, when you don't see yourself, you go, okay, I don't look like this. So I'm going to have to use these products in hopes that I'll look like this. And mind you, it's never going to happen, right? But that's what they do. Or you use stuff that's not for you because the world is pretty much saying that in order to be great, you have to look like this. Or look at like a lot of the black actresses or, black men who make it. A lot of them are, and I'll get, canceled for this. They're lighter skin. They have some, not as ethnic features as other people. And again, I love all my people. Let's make that clear. I love all my black people, light, brown, green, blue, orange. But I'm just saying that, the darker skin tones are left out a lot of the conversation, or when we are there, it's only one of us. They show the one person who looks like whatever, or the one female or the one man. It's never like 8 of us and like one light-skinned person, or 8 of us and one white person or one Asian person. So it creates this narrative, like, again, me growing up where I grew up at, where, we had to sit there and fight to kind of be in a space because they're saying there's not a lot of space and a lot of opportunities for us.
Mm-hmm.
But then you go on social media and it shows that there's not a lot of opportunities for us. Like, look at the music industry. Something that I will have a song out soon, guys. Check it out. But look at the dark-skinned females. They're outside of SZA, and Brandy back in the day when, she was darker. There's a joke because I feel like her tone changed all the time. There's not really a bunch of dark-skinned women that you can sit there and go, they were superstar or megastar statuses. You can't name them.
Yeah, I'm hoping Doechii gets there.
Oh, we love Doechii. Yes, Doechii. Shout out to you. You keep pushing the narrative every single day. But again, even if she does, she's one of 3
Mm-hmm.
in the history of music. That's a problem. That's a problem. Or they sit there and you see all these, women who are, being lusted after and afforded these opportunities to sit there and like promote branding deals and stuff like that. There are the, white with blue eyes and blonde hair. Or if they are black, they are lighter. Or if they are dark skinned, which I love my dark skinned women, they have a particular striking look that allows them to do it. And a lot of times their hair's either super long naturally, or they throw a Eurocentric wig on top of their head. So when you look at them and goes, well,
They have really light eyes.
Oh, really light eyes.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're that, brown skin or even light skinned woman who has locks, you go, okay, well, that's not me, but where am I at in this? You know what I'm saying? Like that's, and I feel like social media really has the world out here bugging.
That's kind of probably why they try to like make it hard for Chloe Bailey and people like that.
Because no disrespect to a lot of these girls, she eats a lot of y'all up easily. Vocally, there's barely any comparison. And if y'all want to argue about that, we can argue with it in the DMs. Reach out to me. The girl is super talented. But because, again, she has her locks, which are beautiful. She has, the features of a black woman. And I don't mean to say that people who don't, but it's not like, pointy nose. Like, she looks like, she's gorgeous to me.
Mm-hmm.
But she's having a hard time selling her album. Then you have others who can't really sing and can't really write and can't produce and can't do nothing. And they existed because they were pretty with a certain eye color, and they break in and destroy them. It's crazy.
Yeah. Chloe, don't give up. Don't have that scarce mindset. We're rooting for you.
Yeah, we are. Come on the show. Come on the show too. Yeah. We'd love to see you.
Let me hear you nay.
I'll never get tired of that. But yeah, man, like it's really hard out there. But people who are going through that, how would you sit there and tell them to shift their gears towards an abundant mindset? Like, what advice would you give them? Or these tools and tricks?
I would say definitely focus on what you do have, what you're blessed with, like gratitude journaling. That's something I'm trying to get into. It's really just allowing you to reflect on everything that you're thankful for that you have, whether it's something as small as waking up and breathing and being able to walk around by yourself, or the opportunities that are about to present themselves to you. I think really focusing on the positive things that are happening in your life can help to combat those negative side of things. Um, and also just keeping positive people around you. Kind of just like when you have certain people who always seem like they are battling something or someone and they just want to call you with their problems. It's like, oh, just like literally something that's so small. It's like, oh, someone just cut me off in traffic. Let me call you to rant to you about it. And they're cursing them, calling them all types of words and all this other stuff. It's just kind of like, don't have that energy around you.
Right.
Like when you surround yourself around negative energy, negative people, negative things, and you're just around negativity all day, that's just going to pull you into that scarce mindset, because it seems like the world has no good in it when there's a lot of good in the world. It's just that with anything, when negative things happen, those tend to supersede everything else that's going on.
Copy. I would like to add to that. Like you said, journaling, I think, is a great idea. Just giving yourself words of affirmation every day, in the morning and at night. I have something on my wall, which is like goals that I would like to do. And one of the goals was words of affirmation.
Mm-hmm.
So normally, I pray morning and nighttime just to, feel good and just have my conversation with God about my day. But it goes beyond that. Like, I'm like, what about the conversation with yourself? And I'm like, you know what? I don't care what they think. I know who I am as a person. And when you start knowing who you are as a person, you become more confident.
Mm-hmm.
The world is always, I keep saying the world, but I can't say the world. The people in the world, they don't like to see confident people, because there's a lot of times people attack you on things that they're lacking. So if you're confident, they go, why is he confident for? They want to bring you down with them.
For?
Yeah, why are you smiling for? It's never that happy. And I go, that's a problem. If you just sit there and say it's never that reason to smile, shows that what type of place you're in. So there's two things. A, I know where you're coming from, which is from a negative perspective. And B, I know I don't want that in my life. So giving yourself words of confirmation.
Affirmation. Affirmation.
I said confirmation. Yeah. Look, confirm it too. Confirm and affirm. That's right. All those words, because it starts with yourself. Mm-hmm. And again, just like you said earlier, maybe your opportunity may take longer. And maybe it's taking longer and you get into a place, you go, I know how long it took me and I know how long I had to work. Mm-hmm. I see someone who also has come up in the ranks. Let me make it easier for them because I know how it felt. Let's break let's break down those walls, right? And once you see one person do it sometimes, that makes it easier for everybody else. And then we open the door and we keep opening the door. Again, just like negativity is contagious, so is positivity. If someone is only surrounded by positivity from their upbringing, they have no choice but that's how they live. Mm-hmm. And you see a lot of people where they're like, yeah, even if they was a single parent household, my mom or my dad, they always just let me know that I'm gonna be destined for something great. And they didn't sit there and say what it was. And I think that's also a great thing too, because now you're letting your child choose, or letting them know, like, whatever you do, as long as you be the best at it or put your best foot forward, you're going to be great. Mm-hmm. And, that's why you hear a lot of these success stories. She goes, yeah, my mom said, do what makes me happy, or, whatever you want to do, I'm gonna support you with it. So now you have an option to go, whatever I want to do. So your eyes open up to, wow, so whatever makes me happy, my parent or my support system is going to support me. Versus you sitting there saying you have to be this, you have to do this, stuff is limited. You're to tell your child that there is no limit to what you want to do. Mm-hmm. That's why I don't like that whole saying the sky's the limit. No, it's not. The sky's the limit. Go past the sky. What's up there? A whole untapped universe.
I think also that goes into just knowing your self-worth. because when you have an abundant mind, you know your self-worth.
Most people don't know their self-worth.
Your self-worth shouldn't be misery, sadness, limitations. It should be, I can achieve anything that I can try to achieve anything that I want to achieve. I deserve more. I don't deserve to be sitting here unhappy, always hungry, not not having the positive people around. Like, I deserve so much more. And just really just look at yourself in the mirror and just say, I deserve this, I deserve that, I deserve that promotion, I deserve that raise, I deserve love, I deserve that family. Whatever you want, you deserve it.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you're not like wanting something negative and death on people. But anything positive that you want, you deserve it.
And I feel like, like I said before, first season, about doing a mirror test and just talking to yourself and having that conversation. Like, no one can tell you what you need to be.
Mm-hmm.
Only you can sit there and say, this is what I deserve. Like you said, and I love that. I deserve to be happy. Okay, great. So what does that look like for you?
Mm-hmm.
All right, this job is toxic, and I get it. It probably be extremely difficult. Like for me, I want to go back to school. It's very hard to go back to school where my rent is astronomically, ridiculously high, and I'm in fields where they don't allow it. So then you sit there and go, okay, but if the field is not allowing you to be happy and pursuing to go, you're in the wrong field. So now you have to sit there and figure out what's the next best thing. And I don't want to get it twisted. It's not like, oh, you had an epiphany and it's going to work out. No, it's going to be work. But then again, you go into the mirror. What is the goal?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. I looked for some jobs today. I got a bunch of rejections. But guess what? I looked for some jobs today. Great. I'm looking for some more jobs tomorrow. And keep the faith and keep hope alive and let God know, like, this is what I want to do. And just like anything, anyone who's been able to achieve things, they were persistent and consistent. Mm-hmm. So persistently pray, consistently pray, put in the work, put in the effort. And like you said before, surround yourself with those who want to see you win, who's going to give you words of affirmation as well. Because you don't need to sit there and have someone trying to second guess everything you're trying to do. That's why I made a comment earlier. There's things that I'm trying to pursue, and people mysteriously, they're sick and, they can't show up. And I promise you, like I said before, I don't lose no sleep over it. I don't, because you're going to see me one way or another. Oh, Emperor, you're doing great. And you're not. That's why we don't speak. That's why you look the way you look, or that's why you're overweight. That's why you look 15 years older than us, but I'm actually 10 years older than you. That's a lot has to do with that. And scarcity mindset brings on wrinkles, y'all. Y'all don't want that. Like, y'all don't want the wrinkles. You don't want the saggy skin. You don't want the headaches. You don't want your hair falling out. You don't want the stress. Like,
and if you have a scarce mindset, and unfortunately, you have those things genetically. You have a scarce mindset. You're not going to have a job where you're able to afford to address those things.
No, you're going to live in the same hood with your mom on a pissy mattress, trying to figure out what's going on with your life, not understanding why you're missing 3 teeth in the front of your mouth because you decided to listen, to your scarcity mindset mom or dad or cousin or sister. And, I know people like that.
Well,
no shade to them, but you guys know who you are because you hit me up every so often on social media talking about, Emperor, you look great. And then I don't respond to you because I was taught that, if you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything. So I just put a smiley face and go, and then that's it.
Okay, well, yeah. And
why are you? I'm being honest. Okay. Is this not an anxious wow?
And that sound came just in time.
Just in time, because, I'm about to keep on going.
Mm-hmm. So it's time for you to enlighten us.
All right. So I feel like I've been enlightening you guys all day, but I'm going to, share something with you that I feel like will kind of help you get through the rest of the week. All right, y'all. So today we're going to talk about self-worth. So, I've seen a few people, even Tasha Smith mentioned recently about knowing your self-worth. And a lot of people, no matter, even if you're great in your career or you're excelling somewhere, they really don't know their self-worth. If you did, you wouldn't take certain jobs with certain pay, and you wouldn't be treating yourself the way you're doing it. And I'm gonna say that again. You're treating yourself that way because you're allowing others to do certain things to you. It is okay if you don't know your self-worth right now. That's why we're having this conversation. Reflect, and deflect. Deflect the negativity that's coming your way and reflect on everything that has happened to you and things that you want to happen to you in the future. It's really important to know who you are because it stops people from taking advantage of you. It stops insecurities from occurring randomly. And it allows you to really open your eyes and see the world for what it is and see yourself for what it is. For me personally, there were times where I would say, oh, I was always confident, I knew my self-worth, and I really didn't. I was more, concerned on surviving and just doing things and dealing with stuff and, hearing the racial remark because, you know what, we're Black, that's what we have to deal with, we have to rise above it. Yeah, rising above it sometimes and telling people, I refuse to be in a situation and I will not be in that situation. Again, it will come sometimes. Again, everything has consequences, right? You'll stand up for yourself, know your self-worth. You might end up losing a job. You might end up losing a quote unquote friend or whatever it is. But guess what? You will gain some sense of just like happiness and just overall being great. So I leave you with this. Knowing your self-worth is the first step to being great with who you are as a person. Again, your mom can't tell you what your self-worth is. Your partner can't. Only you can. Knowing that, again, will allow a lot of ailments and negativity to go to the side and will allow for you to thrive in the future. Again, when you see someone trying to come for you, my favorite thing is absolutely not. You know what you will and will not tolerate with. You know what you will or will not deal with. Keep true to course and keep it moving. And that is Enlightenment with E.
Like that lady from Real Housewives of Atlanta. She said, I fly above all the drama. I fly above.
I fly above.
I fly above.
I fly above.
I fly above. It's beneath me. It's beneath
and guess what? What she had? She financially all right.
She good.
She did all right.
Speaking of, so it's time for a viewer question.
Oh, right.
So this is from Confused in the DMV.
I love that they just, instead of giving names, they just say some random stuff.
Listen, I appreciate it. So this one said, I've been friends with someone for 7 years, and recently they told me pretty bluntly that I'm selfish and narcissistic. This came after months of them being really rude and distant, and it's starting to feel like we're growing apart. I'm confused and hurt by what they said, but I'm also unsure if there's any truth to it, or if it's just their frustration speaking. Should I try to confront this, and how do I even begin to navigate whether this friendship is worth saving, or if we've outgrown each other?
So I want to say this. First of all, shout out to whoever you are saying that y'all was friends for 7 years. Last time, we didn't know how long the friendship was. I was confused. So shout you out for listening. Absolutely. 7 years is a long ship because ships sail. Clearly, they don't want the ship to dock. That was actually kind of clever. So I think they should actually speak to them. You said they started acting different over the past few months, and then they called you out. My thing is, when you saw them started acting different, maybe you should have started asking the question, was everything okay? But they said that you're narcissistic. Well, maybe there may be some truth to it because you said you saw them acting differently and you didn't do anything. You had a Tyra Banks moment. So listen, we all know come on. Come on.
I like Naomi Campbell anyway.
I think Tyra's gorgeous, but she has narcissistic tendencies. Talk to your friend. 7 years is a friendship worth saving. If your friend called you narcissistic, ask them why. Clearly you feel away. It's been months. What about me was narcissistic? What am I doing? Because it could be three things. They could be telling the truth. They could be making it up. Or maybe they're over it. Like, again, it doesn't matter. If it's your friend, their friend can call you all types of things. Not disrespectfully, of course. But there has to be some truth to what your friend is saying. 7 years is a long time. So I would sit there and say, just have the conversation.
Yeah, I agree. They should have that conversation. 7 years, that's basically like extended sibling at that point.
It's a relationship, yep.
So if you value the friendship, if you don't value the friendship, don't talk to them. But if you do value the friendship, then have that conversation with them and ask them why they feel you're narcissistic or why...
These are selfish, right?
Yeah. And why do they feel you're narcissistic and selfish? Ask them for examples. And if there is a reasoning to why they feel that you're that way, although you didn't mean to come off that way, just really talk about maybe you had some situations where you are trying to figure out something and you haven't expressed them to that friend. So all they're seeing is that you're being narcissistic and quote unquote selfish. So just really have that heart to heart conversation and hopefully you're able to sort it out.
Yeah, maybe the person's just, again, maybe the person went through some tough times and they believe they're being confident. And sometimes there's a thin line between someone being confident and cocky, and the person is not seeing it that way. And again, a lot of times we respond and act a certain way based off of past experiences. And you say you've been friends with them for 7 years. I'm pretty sure the person's an adult. So prior to 7 years, they don't know what your life, they didn't get a chance to see what your life was. And it could have built up to what this is now. So if this is your friend for 7 years, clearly you care about them because you reached out to us. Just have that conversation and just be honest and be open and, just listen and have a time just to fix things.
And fly above.
Fly above.
Yeah.
Fly above. I'll listen to that later.
Well, that's all the time we have for today.
Oh, man. It ran out really quickly, but I had a good time today.
Follow at Anxious Wow on all social media platforms. Visit anxiouswow.com to learn more about the show and view our important resources. Sign up for the Selfish Edit, our new monthly digest. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or suggestions, visit us or email us at hi@anxiouswow.com. Thanks.
Have a blessed day, y'all. Stay safe.